أعوذ أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Our rules for today, we're going to be doing the Noon Sakina and Tanween rules. Okay, we know that Noon Sakina is the Noon that has that has the sign of a half moon. So when I say Noon Sakina, I mean Noon with a small comma sign or like a half moon sign above it. And this noon is the original noon. The sakin on the noon is the noon that the sakin that is the original sakin. That is, it's not being presented to the noon. So noon sakin is noon which is free from any vowel without a dhamma, fatha or kasra. It remains unchanged in its written form and as well as in its pronunciation when continuing to read after it and when stopping on it. The noon sakina have a sukun on it or can be written with no vowel. Okay, so in the Arabic Mus'haf, the noon sakin is written sometimes without any sign on it, but it is understood as noon sakin. Okay, noon sakin in verbs and nouns, middle or end of the word is the one you see here, min haythu and min sharri. Okay, so you see here in min haythu, you see a noon sakin is written here, and in min shari you don't see a noon with a sakin. This is common in the Arabic Mus'haf, but most of the Indo-Pak Mus'hafs, they have the noon sakin sound, or which they are called, which we call back home as jazam. Okay, the noon sakina occurs in nouns and verbs in the middle or at the end of the word, and occurs in prepositions and particles only at the end of the word. We know that min is a preposition, right? We know that, right? We know that it's a harf. So here you will see the noon coming at the end of the word from an, min, right? So we know that when in particles it comes at the end of the word, and in nouns it comes in the middle or at the end of the word. So this is basic introduction to noon sakin. Now, why is tanween added to noon sakin? When you see a noon sakin, it is obvious. You can see the noon with the sukun on it. But when you see a tanween, the tanween is, what is tanween? Tanween is fathatain, two fathas, kasratain, two kasras, and dhammatain, two dhammas. So in the fathatain, kasratain, and dhammatain, you don't see the noon sakin in it. You just see two straight lines or two commas or two straight lines again at the bottom, like in kasratain. You don't see the noon sakin in it, but you can hear the sound of the noon sakin, right? So the tanween is a term for the extra noon sakina, not used for emphasis, found at the end of nouns when continuing the reading, but absent from the noun in the written form. So what they are saying is here is, you do not see the noon sakin in the writing. In writing, right? When I say ban, I know there is ba with fathatain, but I can hear the sound of noon, ban, right? I can hear the sound of the noon in ban. So that's the reason why tanween is included in the noon sakina rules. If we stop and on the tanween ad-dam, we will stop making sukun on the mim, and also in tanween al-qasr, we will stop making sukun on the we'll stop making sukun on the noon. But if we stop on tanween al-fath, we will stop by pronouncing the alif. What here they are saying is, if what they mean here is, if we have a, we stop at a ba with fathatain, we end up making it with the sound of ba, right? Like the mad iwad. But when we stop with uh, what do? We don't make the sound of the noon, because we are stopping at bun, so we are giving it a sukun. So the rule of stopping is, wherever we stop at, we give the sound, we give a sukun, right? So when you stop at the word bun, if the last letter of the word has a bun, then you will not make the sound of the noon there. You will make the sound of qalqala here, right? The same with bin. The same with bin. You stop at bin, what do? You make the sound of qalqala on ba, and you do not make the sound of the noon in the bin. The only time you will stop with ba, with the alif sound is when you stop with ba with fathatain. This we know this. This is we have learned the rules, so we know that on ban there is going to be the sound of a alif, right? And on bun and bin, if we stop, then you will not make the sound of the noon. I hope that's clear. Okay. The rules of noon sakina and tanween are four, and they are the rules. The first rule is idhar, and when I say idhar means it means to make clear from zahir, right? Zahir. What is the meaning of zahir? To make clear, to make the sound of noon clear. And when I say zahir, idhar, it means making clear the sound of what? Noon. Okay, because we are talking about noon sakina rules. So we are making the sound of noon clear, not the following letter. So keep that in mind. We're making the sound of noon clear. Then we have the rule of idgham, and idgham means to merge. Idgham means to merge. And what is merging? Noon, the sound of noon is merging with the next letter. Okay. Then we have iqlab. Iqlab has the changing of the sound of noon. Now the sound of noon is changed from noon to the sound of meen. So iqlab means to change. Like remember the qalb. Qalb is constantly changing. The state of our heart is constantly changing. The same way iqlab, to change. And what about ikhfa? Ikhfa means to hide. And what is being hidden here? The sound of noon is being hidden. Okay, when I say noon sakin rules, all the action is happening on the noon. Okay, but there are certain reasons why this is happening, and we will look at it, inshallah. Okay, the first one we are going to do is today's class. We are going to do the rule of idhar. And what is idhar rule? When noon sakin or tanween is immediately, okay, the thing here is noon sakin or tanween has to be immediately followed. There should not be a distance between the noon sakin and the throat letter. So the noon sakin and tanween has to be immediately followed by any of the throat letters. And what are the throat letters? We know they are hamza ha, ain ha, ghain kha, right? So these letters, when they come after noon sakin, or if they come after the tanween, then what do? We make the sound of the noon sakin clear. And this is called Idha'ar Haqiqi. Okay? Okay? It's called Idha'ar Al-halaqi. And what are the letters of Idhar? The letters of the halq. Okay. Okay, let's look at some of the examples here. Here, the first one. So again, idhar can happen between inside one word, like in the word an'amta, or it can happen between two words. Okay, and mostly the ones that you will see happening between two words are most commonly you'll see are the ones between tanween. Okay, mostly it's tanween, but you'll also find words with noon sakina followed by halq letters. So the first one is an'amta. Okay, an'amta. So here the noon sakin is followed immediately by the letter ain. So what I do, I make the sound of the noon very clear. An'amta. Okay. When I look at the word narun hamiyah, I have narun. Okay. The run sound. See listen to the sound. The run. The narun. I can hear the sound of the noon here. And that has to be clear. Why it has to be clear? Because the tanween is followed by the letter ha. Okay? Narun hamiyah. So the sound of the noon again is clear over there. تسقى تسقى من عين آنية. So min Here is the noon sakin, obvious noon. You can see the noon here, and it's followed by ain. So again, the sound of min is the noon in the word min. The sound is going to be clear, and you make the sound clear, and you won't do a gunna. So I forgot to tell you before this, there is no gunna. Okay, when you do idhar, there is no gunna. The sound is made clear, and there is no gunna. And remember, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? The first thing that comes to my mind, especially since I've done the rules, and since I've done the makhraj of noon, and since I've already done the sifa of noon, I have to remind myself, okay, noon has the sifa of gunna. Okay, noon has the sifa of gunna. How can I take that sifa of noon when I'm doing idhar? When I say do not make gunna, I mean not stretching the sound of the gunna in your nose for 2 counts. Okay? I cannot take out the sifa of noon. Noon will have its gunna. There will be a slight gunna. But if I stretch that gunna for 2 harakas, then I am doing a prolonged gunna. So there is a gunna in noon, but when I say no gunna in idhar, I mean there is no prolongation of the sound. Okay, so min, I can still hear the gunna when I say min, but if I say min, that's not allowed. Okay, I hope that's clear. Ainin, here again, ainin, aniyah, ainin. Again, kasratain is followed, is the sound of kasratain has the sound of noon in it, though the noon is not obvious, cannot be seen. If I say ainin, ainin, I can still hear the sound of noon. It's followed by hamza, so now you make the sound clear, no gunna. Kufuwan, kufuwan, ahad. Again, kufuwan, ahad. So again, one is clear, no gunna, because the tanween is followed by a hamza. So for today, this is enough, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم